Hi everyone, as you can see by the title, my flight got canceled, and I honestly don't know why I started recording this video, but I figure it would be a good time to talk about my previous toxic jobs. Let's talk about job number one. I was in my early 20s and I had just finished my bachelor's degree. I loved my coworkers and I'm friends with some of them still, but some of them were only nice as people. I don't know if this will make sense, but you know how you meet someone and they're very nice to talk to outside of work-related stuff, but not good coworkers? They were like that. They were nice to talk to during the shift just to make time pass. I worked at a gym, and keep in mind this was around 2020, when things were slowly opening up again after COVID. We didn't have a lot of clients coming, so we would talk to make time pass by. I had two of them with bad managers, and one of them was a manager that kept to himself. He would stay in the office, not really do much. You would complain about problems you see in the workplace, and he would not do anything about it. I was a personal trainer at this gym, and the manager wasn't working with me or my coworkers. This coworker and I would get the shifts no one wanted, and we sometimes wouldn't get a say because our other coworkers had kids and we didn't, so we were always the first people they would ask for coverage. The assistant manager was so nice and would always adjust our schedules whenever we needed. No questions asked, he would find a way to make everyone's schedules fair and consistent. After that summer, I started grad school, and my classes were mostly at night on certain days. My schedule got shifted to mornings, but there was a day where no one could close, so I was chosen as a closer. I didn't mind, because I needed the money anyways to help pay for grad school. I accepted, and the assistant manager let me know that he could make changes if I changed my mind. We will come back to that later. As a personal trainer at this gym, you were tasked to help and teach group classes, maintain a clean space for customers, organize equipment, and so on and so on. Most of my coworkers didn't help with the tasks or would go hide somewhere, so they wouldn't have to help with cleaning or other job tasks. I was feeling burnout juggling classes, studying, internships, and working. I didn't have time for myself at all. Every hour of the day was booked with only having 30-minute break intervals every now and then. By the time I got home, I didn't want to do anything but sleep. I spoke to my manager and let him know how I was feeling. I let him know that some of my coworkers would sit back and not help with tasks. He said he would talk to them, but nothing came out of that conversation. He stayed in his office and didn't do anything about it. So, let's flash forward to my second year at that job. I had gotten used to the manager ignoring everything, so I focused on having good work ethic and became selfish for once in my life, taking care of my mental health and working on managing the stress of everything I had going on at the time. I met with the assistant manager and the manager to let them know that I would be turning in my 2 weeks. The manager would not let me quit. He wanted me to have a job in place before making this decision, which sounded logical, but now he cared. His good employee had left a week before, and now he was going to lose another one. I was on my last semester in grad school. At this point, I was doing my second set of internship at an outpatient stretch lab. The manager had mentioned that most students were offered jobs afterwards if they see that they were doing well with the internship. The assistant manager at job number 1 intervened and let the manager know that it was my choice whether I wanted to quit or not. I ended up quitting and taking my chances. Luckily, I was offered a job post-internship. Unfortunately, that ended up becoming my other toxic job, but we'll get to that part soon. I was stressed out from job number 1 that I was willing to work any job available at that point. At job number 1, I was part-time, but working full-time hours on top of also doing my internship, school, and club activities. I would sometimes work double shifts too. For example, I would work 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., take a 2-hour break, and work from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I worked hard at my internship site, learned a lot, and eventually got a job offer. They didn't have the job available at the same location that I interned at, but they had one that was about 30 minutes from my apartment, so I decided to go for it. I graduated, interviewed at the other location, and decided that I wanted my start date to be a month after all the graduation and job chaos. Also, I was studying continuously for 6 years at that point, so I needed a good break. I requested that I start a month after my internship ended, and the manager agreed to it.
She was very nice about that.
The internship that I did had me helping trainers with their patients at a stretch lab. I also interacted with patients with different diagnoses and learned a lot of new things. Under the new manager, I started job number 2, and I was thinking that it would be the same thing I was doing during internship, but now I was getting my own caseload of patients. To go a little further into detail about job number 2, an example of what I did or happened would be this. A patient would come in with pain or needing a workout routine that would help with any goals they had or needing to correct their posture or walking gait. These are a few examples, but the patients varied in reasons for their visit.
So it's more than a stretch lab.
Think among the lines of corrective exercises, balance deficits, and that list could go on, but I don't want to make this video too long, so we'll go with that. At this new location, I was training for a couple weeks and they sent me to get front desk training. I was under the impression that they wanted me to get familiar with their charting system, so I went along with it and did the training. Come to find out, I did the training because if the front desk staff was sick or couldn't come into work, we would fill in for the staff as much as we could. I didn't mind doing that either, so I didn't think anything of it. I thought, you know what, this is my second only ever job. I'm just going to do it and see if I can get some more experience. There was a problem with this. The front desk staff would ask for a day off, the manager would take her time finding coverage, and one of us would have to cover the whole day at the front desk. They would do this by shifting your schedule to other staff that was working there, and sometimes they would see 2 to 3 patients an hour to make it work. Some patients didn't mind, but imagine reviewing all your notes the day before to see new patients or existing patients, and then walking in the next day to find out that you'll be stuck at the front desk. I didn't mind helping at the front desk, but I felt like I was the one mostly giving up my schedule. It almost felt like I was hired specifically for that situation because it was rare for the other staff there to cover up front. I also got the feeling that the manager didn't like new employees. Everyone at that job were close, and it felt like some of them didn't like newer people working there either. To get a promotion at the job, you had to meet productivity, so have most of the patients in your schedule show up, and that wasn't happening with me often because I was stuck at the front desk. You also had to meet with your manager at the beginning of the year, the halfway point, and the end of the year to see how you're doing, and you get promotions based on your performance at work. Well, she said my performance at work wasn't good enough and that I wouldn't get the raise for next year. I mentioned having to cover for the front desk a lot, and she said that there are ways to make up for the productivity, like working through my lunches or overscheduling my patients. If one didn't show up, I wouldn't have to worry because I had 2 others scheduled for that hour. When she said that, my jaw was on the floor. But I had been working at that job for almost a year at that point and was comfortable with seeing 2 patients an hour, so I decided to take her advice and overschedule myself. Flash forward to the halfway point of the next year. My next meeting came, and lo and behold, I still did not qualify for the promotion. The funny but not really funny thing was that I was Employee of the Month when I had my progress meeting with her. Most of the staff didn't even remember that I was selected. There was one person who asked, "Who is the Employee of the Month again?" I don't remember. When someone mentioned it was me, they laughed and said, "Oh, I forgot." And at that point, I literally felt like pile of poo, like there's no other way to put it. I felt like sheet. I felt depressed. Imposter syndrome hit hard. It felt like no matter what I did, I wouldn't get a raise. I was stuck. There was also a time when I wanted a week off for vacation, and another front desk staff had already requested to be off that week. The manager said, "If I can't find coverage, I'll need you to cover the front desk for that week." From that moment on, I knew I needed to find a new job. I remember it being a week before the manager was going to go out on vacation for like 2 weeks. Lucky her, I guess. I let her know 2 days before she would go on vacation that I was going to turn in my 2 weeks. I had applied for another job, had interviewed, and the interviewer was impressed. So, at that point, I felt good about that job. She told me to wait until I got approved, but thank God, that same afternoon, I got a call from that job saying they would like to extend an offer. I'm not happy that that's the way that I found out how jobs could be and how some people can take advantage of you or make you feel insecure. I see the best in people and truly believe in kill them with kindness, but having this experience also made me more confident in being able to say no and to stand up for myself, which I was afraid to do because the last thing I would want to happen is me being fired. Those jobs just made me so depressed that right now I'm just happy that I was able to find a job that I love to the point where it doesn't feel like a job at all. I've been working for that company for about 2 to 3 years now, and I am so happy. I love every patient that I get the pleasure of meeting and enjoy helping them progress towards their goals. I'm not saying to scare you away from the workforce. I want to share my experience because a job shouldn't have to make you change your personality or make you feel uncomfortable. Thank you so much for listening to me rant. For any questions you may have, please feel free to comment below. I know this is different from the content I usually post, but I had mentioned in my Bujo flip through that I blurred most of my one-line-a-day entries for privacy reasons and because it was depressing to look at. I mostly post study content or focus content, and soon I'm excited to post Read With Me content. So I hope you have a good day, night, or good whatever time of day you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next video. P.S. Some quick advice on interviewing that guaranteed me the job was showing interest in the company by knowing their mission statement and values. In other words, take a look at their website and become familiar with it. The 3 people I was interviewed by mentioned that most people don't know what to say when asked about why they would like to work for the company. Reference their mission statement and company values and how it aligns with what you believe in. I'm not going to promise that it will get you the job, but it will make you stand out. Okay, now I'm really going to shut up and say bye.